Oh, what's going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? What's going on, Red Rum? How you doing? Bam! I gotta get my hair cut big time. I gotta get it cut, but that'll be okay. I went over to the barbershop today and they weren't open. Nice hair. I think it's the right one. Okay. So, if you want to hear some update on the Orange Crush book, I have a little bit, I think. That's I think. I think I do. So, where I'm at now is, I've submitted the manuscript to 3 more publishers. Stony Creek Publishing, and they're out of like South Texas. Oh, where's their website? There we go. Stony Creek Publishing, they're out of like South Texas. They use Texas A&M University for their printing. A member of the Texas Book Consortium, which distributes our publications online in bookstores across the country and around the world. That's the founder. And so I've submitted to them. I've submitted to McFarland Publishers. They're the ones who published Jimmy Wynn's autobiography, Toy Cannon. And they have a lot of, well, I'll get to that later. McFarland Publishers and this imprint of Skyhorse Publishing called Sports Publishing. And they all have what I perceive to be their positives and negatives, I guess. Stony Creek Publishing, they're geographically the closest, I'm pretty sure. They said they're in Texas. So, it would, obviously, they would be helpful because they could get the book out around the area where the target audience would be. And going by the submission form that I submitted my email proposal, and then he got back to me, said, we'll look at it. In the meantime, fill out this form. And so I did. And according to that, there was an option on there to check. Well, there were two. One of them was saying, do you need an advance? And an advance is some money that the publisher will give to the author up front, or sometimes it can be broken up into payments, but money the author gives to the publisher gives to the author to get the rights to publish the book, essentially. So my goal is I want to get one of those, and a high one if possible, because all I need from an advance is the photo permissions covered. The cost it's going to take to get the permission to use different photos for the book. That covered, as well as the permission, as well as the travel costs for me. Travel costs would be around $3,000. I'd be probably a little shy, but things can change. Right? Photos, I'm not sure, because it'd probably be around there too. It just depends on how many photos I get, which hopefully, I'd like for it to be illustrated like this book is, with pictures on just about every page. I think that would be really good. And it would illustrate the Orange Crush identity of the team really well. And if I get them from the Hall of Fame, that could be between $25 and $50 per photo, just not too bad. If I get them from AP, that's, what was that, 100 maybe? How much did William Beck pay for that? May not have been that much, maybe 165, but still. Where, oh, where, oh, where? Pay $315 per photo. Okay, so yeah. And he only used like one of those though. Yeah. One photo from AP. Getty Images would be like $600. I'm not even gonna touch that. I can get a picture of John Mayberry from Steve Moore Photography, but that'd be over $200. I want to see if I can get it from Topps or MLB or the Astros for cheaper. have reached out to Topps and gave them my information. They said we'll get back to you. Or the right people will get back to you if they want to license the photos out. Hopefully, I'll hear back from them. Still haven't been able to get in touch with the right people at Wilson yet, but I'm still trying because there's a picture of Doug Rader I'd like to use. What else? So there's a lot of things that could come into play as far as the pictures go. So it could be another $2,000-3,000. So if I was given a $6,000 advance, that might be pretty good, A $10,000 advance, which is kind of average, that would definitely cover it. Most certainly, you would think. And so that's what I'd like to get from either one of these three companies. So Stony Creek, I'm not sure if they do or not. I mean, based off their submission form, I would assume that they probably do, unless they use that as a way to maybe filter out submissions. Say if they need an advance, then we just throw it out. I'm not sure. Places probably have their different ways of, feeding those out. So, they said if they're interested, I'd hear back from them within 6 to 8 weeks. This upcoming Sunday is the 8th week mark, but because it's been the holidays, I'm going to give all three of these companies till the end of January. Until it gets into February, till I really start worrying about it. And then McFarland, they've published a lot of books. About different baseball teams. I mean, 1982 Cardinals, 15 through 1956 House of David, 1980 Phillies and Royals, 1959 White Sox, 1979 through 83 Orioles, 1979 through 82 Cardinals, 1969 Pilots, 1972 Tigers, 1940 Reds, 1977 through 84 Expos, 1954 through 67 A's, 1910 through 1914 A's, 1960 Pirates. I mean, there's all sorts of specific, era-specific sports team books that are particularly baseball team. McFarland's big on baseball history. I think they do a really good job with it. My only gripe with them is they do not give advances. They pay good royalty according to their website. And that's what it says. We pay a good royalty. I don't know what good means in that case, but I'm sure it would be. But I don't. They wouldn't give an advance. We gotta have to pay for travel. And it also says on there, all you have to do is pay for any photos if you need to, and cost of producing the book, for the publishing, including photo permissions. So, that would be really the only turnoff I'd have with McFarland, because I think they've done real well. They've gotten their books out there. But then there's sports publishing, an imprint of Skyhorse. So when I mentioned Skyhorse Publishing, this is what I'm talking about. Right? So they've released some books similar to that, and Skyhorse always pride themselves on they take books that other publishers maybe wouldn't. It's not letting me load that up right now. Okay. And so, I hope that, they have interest in mine. I actually submitted to them a couple of times. Once, and the way I did it was slightly different than the way their guidelines suggested. So I talked to a guy out of Huntsville who actually asked to send letters of recommendation to each of these 3 companies for me, and he did. And then he gave me some information about different guidelines. He said his suggestion would be to redo, to submit a proposal to Skyhorse again, following their guidelines exactly. So I did. He also said he'd send a follow-up explaining the situation. And he also said that I should put a brief apology in the beginning of the cover letter, apologizing for not getting it quite right the first time. So I did. And, hopefully that'll get their attention. Skyhorse would be great because they do give advances. They're a bigger publisher, I think. And again, I don't have to make any money off the advance. It's not like I need to put it in my pocket. If I just get enough to cover the photos and the travel, I'll be good. Even if I never earn out the advance, which means, making enough off the book for the publisher to make up how much they pay in the advance. And, it's actually happens pretty often that authors don't earn out their advance, and most publishers understand that, the advance is really all the money you're going to get from the book. And, in my case, that'd probably be all right. Obviously, I'd probably get some author copies and sell them, to the Houston Sabre chapter, maybe to the Birmingham Sabre chapter, and some other friends and family who may want one. But other than that, if the only money I made was the advance and it just covered the travel and the photos, then I'd be good. Because then I'd be breaking even, essentially. I wouldn't be out anything. And it'd give me the experience of more writing and the experience of going to Houston and promoting this thing. It'd be really fun. And I'd have a second book to my name, which is great. It's fantastic. And then I could see what else there is out there. But, those are the 3 companies I'm looking at. Some of the deal, my biggest deal at this point is, well, first I'm waiting on at least one of those 3 to bite. As far as if any of them were to offer me, would I just take it? I would certainly like to, but it depends, what kind of advance can I get? How widely available is the book going to be out there? Because if there's a chance that I'll make a lot of money off of this, maybe it'd be worth it to take a smaller advance and then spend a little bit of my own money or credit if I know I'm going to make it back. And so, that comes into play there. With Stony Creek, the question would be, am I going to get an advance? And if so, what kind? How much? Skyhorse, it'd be how much? Because I've also, I've heard, all this is hearsay, but I've read online that their advances aren't necessarily that big. And so, again, I don't need something huge, just enough to cover those expenses. Photo permissions, travel. That's what I need out of an advance. So, if one of them comes to me saying $10,000 advance and we'll get your book into, Barnes & Noble and Amazon and Ingram and maybe some local independent places too in Houston, I'll probably take it. If more than one come there, well, then that'll be a good problem to have. I'll think about that. I'll have a lot on my mind. But that'll be okay, because it'll be a good problem to have. So the thing with the photos. So initially, when I was trying to get this thing published with the History Press, I was thinking, all right, well, my indication was I got to get the Astros on board so that the History Press will accept it because they want the backing. But then I want a publisher on board so the Astros will know, okay, it's legitimate, and then they can help me get in touch with more former players and get photos. So I explained that predicament to my guy at Huntsville, Joshua Adams of Huntsville Independent Press. He can't take it right now because he's booked up through the end of this year, 2025, and he's also expanding his business in other ways too, which is great, but it's just cutting into his time to take more authors. So I understand that. I get it. Because he'd like to take it. He's already said he'd love to take it. But he's helping out in other ways too. He said, it's kind of it's a difficult situation. He said, some publishers will be like that. Some will say that that's doing too much. Publishing is a business of managing risk. Sometimes you got to be willing to, put your marbles on the table and let's get going, rather than this, I'm it if they are thing. So then you get stalemates like that. And so he said he wanted to try to reach Jim Crane about my book. So he was trying that. And I sent an email to Jim Crane. I won't put it on the screen because I'm not sure if I should really put a lot of this out there. But when did I send that? Okay. August 8th. And actually, wait, what? I said that August 8th. Wow. Okay. At 9 a.m. I sent that. And I was at the hotel doing the housekeeping stuff. And I didn't realize this because I had just gotten this new phone. I hadn't been able to get the voicemail stuff worked out. What's going on, Dan? Yeah. Pretty tough last turn. Again, people are welcome. I mean, I don't want to turn people off by that. But apparently it was, according to this, it was later that day. I didn't realize this till just now, that a representative from the Astros called me. It was Anita Sago. She's with the Astros executive office. And I missed it because I was housekeeping. And there was a voicemail. But I couldn't listen to it because I hadn't gotten voicemail set up on this thing yet. It was doing something stupid. It just wouldn't let me get it done. And so it was like a week later or so that I did get the voicemail straightened out. And I had a few that I had to just listen to them, let them play out so that they would clear as unread. And I was just letting them something about some back tax promotion, or, have any real estate this, or, just pointless stuff, commercial stuff. And I let one play out. All of a sudden I hear the words Houston Astros. And then that person said, calling about the email you sent Jim Crane, you can reach me at this number. So I listened to it again. I was like, wow. So I'm glad that I got the voicemail worked out when I did, because if I had just said, it's not that important, who knows how long it would have taken before I realized that I got a call from her. And so the next week, I was able to talk to her on the phone. So I was like, okay. I just want to see what all you were looking for, just wanted you to be clear on what what it was you're looking for, because she said, well, we don't fund book projects like that. A lot of people have written stuff. We don't fund stuff, and we don't keep inventory in our team shops. So I just want to see like what it is you're asking the Astros to participate in. I was like, okay. Well, I never was going to ask them for money anyway. So, okay. And they don't keep inventory in the team shop, stuff like that. Kind of disappointing. I was kind of hoping they would, but okay, I understand that too. Do it for one person, you got to do it for everybody. And she said, they can also give people a table at a game to like sell books at, depending on the schedule and everything. But I was like, okay, that's cool. So I said, basically, main two things that I'd like to help with is reaching some more former players and then getting more photos to use for the book and getting the right permissions. So, all right. With the photos, and so let's back up. The former players. If I would send an email to her with the list of who I want to talk to, she can take that, forward it to the alumni department, and they can reach out to the player on my behalf saying, hey, this person reached out, this is what they're doing and what they would like to speak with you about. If you'd like to reach them, this is their email address. Cool. Because I understand like they don't want to give their contact information to me, because then that could invade privacy. So, okay, cool. So that was a breakthrough in that regard, because at that point, the Astros director of communications, Steve Grand, had been saying, you got to have a publisher. And of course, I don't have that yet. But then Anita Segal gave that list I sent her to Jenny Grand, Steve's wife, I believe, and she she's with the alumni department, and she sent those emails out. Well, they didn't have an area supposed to. Well, they probably do have an area that sells books, but not like books from like fans. Because if you sell one person's book there, then anybody who writes about the Astros that wants it there, they kind of have to do it for everybody, and that would just be too much. So I understand that. And so that was great. And it was actually while I was sitting in the arena in Duluth, Georgia, back toward the end of October, that I got some emails from George Culver, Tom Griffin, and Dave Justy's wife. And I didn't see them till later that night because for whatever reason they weren't showing up on my phone. But when I got back to the hotel, I saw them. I was like, oh, great. And so I said, thank you. I've received this. I intend to respond later with with some more information. So, but she's also talking about, as for the photos, and this is more stuff that I didn't know. I would need a licensing agreement with Major League Baseball to use pictures that have player likenesses and team logos, like players in uniform. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. I can understand that. And she also proposed that I could use Getty Images. I ain't touching that. They cost way too friggin' much. They told me one time it'd be $600 to use one photo. Forget it. So, I asked the question, okay, do you know how I could go about contacting the MLB for that? She said, well, I'm not sure, but we'll look for it for you. Okay. And since then, when I was sending her a follow-up, she got back with a contact for somebody there who she said, if he's not the right person, he can probably direct you to the person who is. That's Nick Trotta with Major League Baseball. So, okay. I'm going to be looking for a free handout. What do you mean free handout? I mean, that's fine. If they need me to sign an agreement, that's okay. I mean, I get that. And I was also told the same thing about the agreement with William Bike, the author of this book, who I've been in touch with. In fact, it'll be a year, 2 days from now. So January 4th, that'll be 1 year since I've started being in touch with with William Bike. He told me, I had to sign this agreement to use Cubs photos, so you'll have to do the same thing for the Astros, no doubt. And he showed me the agreement as well as who we got it from. There was a phone number there, and I kind of looked at the phone number. It took me to some teams websites and MLB. I wasn't as confident in that one. I found one though that's different that I got on an invoice for that 1971 Astros footage that I bought from them. That phone number for MLB Advanced Media, I think that's who it's from. That is MLB Advanced Media, and there's a phone number. That one's probably the one that I'm going to use to contact MLB about that, because I've tried the email address you gave me for Nick Trotta. It kicked back. I can probably use another one too, although I've never gotten a response. Although I sent those to multiple people, so I could probably try again. But I'll probably just call MLB Advanced Media about it and say, I'm trying to use these photos for this book. I got to sign this agreement. How do I go about doing that? And so he showed me the agreement, William Bike did. And by the way, he said, because I asked him if there was like a cost he had to pay to sign that agreement and a cost for using photos from MLB or the Cubs for his book. And he said he didn't use any from MLB. But to sign the agreement, he said he didn't remember there being any cost. Or if there was, it was very minimal, which is good news. And the Cubs let him use some photos from like some of their scorecards from 1970. He said those were free. Maybe the Astros would be the same. I get the license users. At what cost Carter jersey companies are different than this book project? I mean, I guess I get it though. I think I understand it. So, I'm fine with that. But I looked at the agreement. This is where I'm having some concern. It's not just like agreement with a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo and saying you're using them for this. And if you use them inappropriately, then this will be revoked or something like that. There's a clause in that agreement that it's there's a section. There's license grant, third-party rights, no alteration of licensed properties, approval rights, conduct of licensee, prohibited use. All this stuff is let's see. MLB Advanced Media is in receipt of the request for the individual/entity identified in Schedule A, licensee, to use certain trademarks, service marks, and/or copyright rights belonging to certain Major League Baseball-related entities, teams. Licensor considered your request and is willing to grant licensee permission to use the marks and/or copyright rights set forth in Schedule B, hereto the licensed properties solely for the period set forth on Schedule C, in the territory set forth on Schedule D, and in the manner described on Schedule E, the license use, subject to licensee's payment of the compensation, if any, set forth on Schedule F, hereto, and licensee's agreement to and compliance with the terms and conditions set forth in sections 1 through 23 below and the attached schedules A through H. Actually, let me check out that Schedule F. Assessment interval. But hold on a second, I'm just trying to read some. Probably be included. As to an extent, the book is licensing was pre-approved when writing each online retailer. That's licensed. Good and valuable consideration. Received and points acknowledged. Okay. But in Section 9, no, it makes tons more money on loan lessons. Well, they have an agreement. New Era and MLB have an agreement. And Dan, I don't know if you were here when I was talking about it, but when it comes to me getting a publishing deal, I really would like an advance because that would help me cover the photo permissions rights and the travel costs. But that's all I need from an advance. Travel's probably around $3,000. I've calculated that. Photos could be around the same. So if I get a $6,000 advance, and especially a $10,000 advance, I'd be good. All I need, I don't need to make any money from the advance. Just cover those things that I need, and we'll be good. Even if I never earn out the advance, meaning make enough money off the book that the publisher would make back the advance, and then I'd start getting royalties. Even if that never happens, that's okay. Because, the advance you don't have to pay back. It's just yours. It's their payment to buy the rights to publish the book, which is fine. So, it's not like I'm needing to make a whole lot of money off of this. I'd like to. But if not, I understand. The experience and the opportunity could very well kick in a lot of good things from me anyways, so I'm not concerned about that. But this is where some things can get kind of fishy. Section 9. Insurance. Licensee must obtain and continuously maintain at its own expense the following insurance policies. A. An insurance service offers occurrence-based commercial general liability insurance policy, including but not limited to contractual liability, personal injury liability, advertising injury liability, and product/completed operations liability coverage with minimum limits of $1 million each occurrence, $2 million general aggregate, $2 million and $2 million product/completed operations aggregate. B. Errors and omissions liability insurance with a minimum limit of $1 million per each claim. C. Umbrella liability insurance in excess of 9A above with minimum limits of $3 million each occurrence and $3 million general aggregate. So I'd have to get all three according to that. I don't know anything about that. But if I went, through the insurance company that I have all my other stuff with, then, and, they looked at that and said, oh, yeah, we can give you this, and it'd be, $100-something a month, maybe $200 a month. It'd be kind of costly, but, I get that. It's like, well, how long do I have to keep it? Do I just keep it until into perpetuity, or as long as I want my book to be out there? If I decide to just quietly phase it out, is MLB gonna know? So that's not necessarily a stumbling block. I could get that stuff. But this is William Bike has a business. He has A&B Communications. And so he has those insurances through State Farm. Okay. I not a business. Now, I've gotten a piece of business mail with my Umpire Diary email address on it, interestingly enough. You know, I mean, you know. Look at that right there. Business owner, Umpire Diary pay hip. But I don't have a business. I'm not a business. I'm an individual. Which at the top of that, if you remember me reading the top of that MLB agreement, receipt of the request for the individual/entity identified in Schedule A. And there it says licensee has got the name of his business. But according to MLB, it can be an individual. However, this may not be a problem. It's just a thought I've had. Since I don't have a business, would an insurance company give me those insurances that I need? You know, would they sell that to me? If I can pay it, shouldn't matter. But some things make too much sense for corporate America. So would they give it to me? If the answer is yes, we're good. If the answer, well, then it comes the question of how much would I have to pay per month. If the answer is no, well, and then it also comes in about how much would I have to pay per month and how long would I have to keep it. Of course, that's a question anyway, yes or no. But if the answer is no, so it's okay. Then it's about, do I go just try to make a business name? Do I just maybe make a Samuel Barrett LLC? Okay. According to my father, then I have to hire an attorney to get that done. It's a couple $1,000 more bucks. I mean, if I look that up right now. Well, maybe I wouldn't have to. I don't know. Yeah. And so, it'd be great if I could just file that paperwork and then send it in to the state or something like that. But paying an attorney to get that done, that's a couple $1,000 more bucks. So I'd have to get an attorney, which is going to cost, I'd have to pay a couple $1,000 bucks to get an attorney, to get a business name, to get 3 kinds of insurance and maintain them. Maintain all 3. To sign the agreement to get the photos. For this one point, I had to jump through 10 other hoops just for that. At what point does the time, and especially that other few $1,000 how much it would cost for the attorney, become too much for me to put into this one thing, just this one book? So the question could become, do I go forward with the book without photos? Well, that's more of a question for the prospective publisher, because publisher may look at it and say, well, yeah, that's okay. Or they may say, no, we want the illustrations in there. Or what I think could really happen is you can get away with no photos on the inside. But to sell the book, how are we going to convey what the book is about if we can't use pictures or logos on the cover? How's anybody going to look at that and know? I mean, look at this. Right here. There's 4 photos. 1, 2, 3, 4 on here. 3 of them have players in uniform. That one right there, I'm not sure if that one would fall under all this stuff or not, but right there. And then, of course, on the back, there's 2 more. So then, just because hiring an attorney would be too much effort and too much money, that could jeopardize the entire project. All because corporate America wants me to jump to a bunch of hoops. And not all this stuff is necessarily true. I may be able to get the insurances for cheap and without being a business name. Just be a private individual. The agreement from MLB says individual. So, is it possible that maybe the insurance is a little different for an individual? I'd be talking to MLB and talking with insurance company. This is what I'm trying to do as a private individual. I don't want to have to go through a bunch of hoops and spend a bunch of money to hire an attorney to create a business name that I don't even need. At least a legal aid to file. If I get a low cost or free legal aid, that'd be great. But I don't know. Just a bunch of stuff I don't think I should have to deal with, but they're bringing it all up anyways. So that's pretty much where I'm at. At this point, I'm waiting on a publisher to show interest. One of those 3. Stony Creek, McFarland, Sports Publishing, and Imprint of Skyhorse Publishing. And I'm also, in the meantime, getting some things started with getting these photos. I've got I've had a running to-do list of things with this book for, close to a year now. Phone MLB Advanced Media and talk to them about this is what I'm trying to do. How do we go about it? They'll probably say, well, you'll need the agreement, and we got photos here, or we don't, whatever. They're talking about the agreement. All right. Well, I've seen the agreement. It says something about this insurance. Talk to me about that. I'm a private individual. I don't have a business. The top of the agreement says individual/entity. So that shouldn't matter on your part. So it doesn't matter on your part. Do you think it would matter for an insurer? Would they need me to get a business name? Because if that's the case, then I'd have to go get an attorney or legal aid, pay them, get that done. At this point, how many hoops is too many. I'm just trying to get some photos to use for the book. That's all. I'm not trying to harm anybody or screw anybody out of anything. And like, what errors or omissions am I going to make here? How about make it part of the agreement? Cite it this way, or the agreement is revoked, and be done with it. Give me something to put in the caption of every photo I use from MLB or the Astros. And or in the copyright section or somewhere else in the book, and be done with it. I don't understand that. But that'd be something to talk with them about. Get the insurances, sign the agreement, and get the photos from MLB and the Astros. Phone Wilson to get permission to use the Doug Rader photo, and reach back out to Topps at some point, reiterating to them what I'm trying to do. I might even try contacting the Houston Chronicle. I've tried that before, but it said I'd have to have like permission from the Astros. So that'd be something once I have the agreement, I could probably talk to Miss Sagal about. But all of this hinges on the requirements for that insurance and the details around that so I can sign the agreement, and if a publisher is interested. And like, I gotta be honest. At this point, it's now the turn of 2025. I told you, it's been a year, almost a year, since I first got in touch with William Beck. So I've been working on this project. Now, this time last year, I wasn't working on this specific book manuscript. I was working on a different one. But same general project of the late 60s, early 70s Astros and what could have been. I've been getting information, studying, researching, both about the Astros and about stuff needed for publishing. I mean, I have very little interest in dragging this out again through 2025, just to continue to find more hoops that I would have to jump through every time I talk to somebody. So if it gets to the point where it's just too much and it's like, okay, the time I'm using now, I could use on so many other better things other than just waiting for other people to get back to me when I'm putting all this work in and they're just doing the minimum for me. It's like, at some point, I've got to determine if this is really worth my time. I mentioned, even if I just break even on the book, let's say all this went about and I got it done. Obviously that's great. But I don't need to be dragging this out too much longer. You just be sitting around hoping for things, getting in my way of focusing on better things I could do with my time that'll really push something forward. So as much as me and a lot of other people want to see this book become a reality, I have to look at the possibility that this just may be out of my reach, given some technicalities that corporate America wants to force upon me. The possibility that my mother has brought up about, maybe you can wait a couple of years, wait till you get moved out, get a full-time job or something, like all these, parents do, all the standard stuff. Get more money saved up, then you can do it. I don't think that's the way to do it either, because let's not forget who the market of the book is. The market of the book is people who don't have a lot of this. If they have a lot of hair, it's gray or white, and a lot of them don't have hair at all. And a lot of them, not to sound morbid, but they're in the grave. At this point, Jimmy Wynn, Joe Morgan, Bob Watson, J.R. Richard, Rusty Staub, Mike Cuellar, off the top of my head, they're all already dead. Yeah, exactly. How, Johnny Edwards is 86. Sonny Jackson's 80. Cesar Cedeno, 73. Larry Durker, 78. Doug Rader's 80. So, point is, it's now or never. Because who knows if 2-3 years from now, if a lot of these guys are even still going to be around. Tal Smith, 91. A lot of the guys in the Sabre chapter, they're old. 60s, 70s. The book is a top priority right now. That's why I've been doing all this. Yeah. But if it gets to the point where, no one else who can help me is really helping me out the way I need it. And all this technical stuff that I would need to get it done are just not reasonable for me to try to do. I gotta look at just moving on. I don't want to do that. Put all this time into this. Quality time. There's a lot of good stuff in what I've been doing. I think there's the market for it. Yeah, that's about it right there. That's, At this point, because when I restarted it, back in May of last year, I said, you know what? I still have the itch to get this thing done. I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to let God tell me if I need to stop, when to. I want to make him box me in to where there's no way out. This insurance stuff could be that, or I could get through it. I mean, who knows? But I'll keep going till he boxes me in. And there's no way out except for to leave the project behind. Until it's worth, So you can't see if it's worth the pleasure of seeing it come to fruition. I think that pleasure that I would feel during that weekend in Houston, going to an Astros game, a Sugar Land game, Sabre meeting, I think that'd always be there. But just be tough. If it'd be too tough to get there, then that becomes a real concern. Freelance article in a magazine. Yeah, I've thought about that way too, because I'd hate to just leave this stuff sitting around. I'd be open to selling my work to somebody, letting them publish it. I prefer for them to put my name in there somewhere, but just so it's out there somewhere and I'm getting something for it. But again, it's this point is between them, and them. I would say these guys are probably my preferred pick right now, if they're interested. And, I sure hope they would be. I think they did a really good job with it and getting it out there. I'm looking forward to seeing what the cover would look like. Yeah, and it's a different kind of writing too. It's a hypothetical thing. I mean, even there's some hypotheticals in this, some what ifs about what the Cubs could have done had they won the division, but it just goes off the assumption, using the Pythagorean win-loss records, the Cubs would have won it. There's no really diving deep and seeing what the roster could have looked like. Partially because the Cubs were already good enough. Chris Farland. Don't think I'm familiar with you, but hey, what's going on? I'd like to see what the cover would look like, I mean, I even considered at one point maybe going back to Miss Edgar Taylor with End of Season Publishing, but I cannot justify going a different publishing route other than traditional publishing for this one. Just because then I'd have to have those publishing costs too. I've probably shown you that cover design that I had at one point. I think if we used this or something similar to it, that would be good. Just work with a cover designer and a publisher to see what would be right. And of course, I want to use. There's also the question of black and white photos versus color photos. If possible, I want to use color photos for every picture, inside the book and on the front and back covers. That's what I want. Because it would convey the Orange Crush identity better. I could even compromise with black and white photos on the inside for color photos on the outside. That'd be fun. That's what a lot of books have done. And, I'll show you this. While I was at my grandparents' house some time ago, I organized a bunch of photos that I found online and here and there over the past couple years and put them all in files. You're from New Hampshire, nice. Hold on a second. Let's see. Anyway, sorry about that. Is Dan or not Dan? Is Red Rum still here? Hope he is. But so here, all these files here, the ones in yellow that you see. Alright. Like that's John Mayberry. There's 2 photos there. Hopefully you can see them well. But yeah. This is the one I'd like to use right there. But you know, we'll see. See, that one has the Topps gradient on it, the watermark, and this one has some typed words right there from Steve Moore. If I can get this photo, which I've also seen with the Topps gradient on it, if I can get it from Topps or MLB, cheap or free, then that's how I'll do it. Because I don't want to spend over $200 on it. Doug Rader, and of course, this is the one right here that I want to get permission from Wilson to use. Grady Hatton, I like that one right there. I like that one too. It has the Orange Crush uniform, but it's not in color. So that may be one that I'd have to just use. Maybe a couple black and white photos, but try to use color mainly. Lemon Harris. It's the guy that I have as the ideal manager for the Orange Crush. I had it as Grady Hatton, but then Norm Miller was talking about how he was fit to be tied and got angry sort of easily and was sort of a prick, at least to him. I want to talk to Larry Durker about that, though. Maybe even Tom Griffin. Just Hofheinz right there, too. Jack Bellingham. And there's these photo cards right here, too, that are all in black and white. Those would be nice, but if I used all of them, then they'd be kind of boring. Plus, they're in black and white. I'd like to use some color photos with variety in them. Although this is a colorized version of the top of this picture. The one on the far right is colorized version at the top of the one on the far left. And a lot of these pictures you can tell they're taken in Candlestick Park. Let's see. Wade Blasingame, George Culver. That one's in the astronaut. Harry Walker. Like that I can tell that one's taken at Candlestick Park. Jim Ray. Denny LeMaster. That's at Wrigley Field. Dennis Menke. You can see where Candlestick Park's being expanded in the background of this one. That's at Wrigley Field. J.R. Richard. I'd like to find this one. Really like to find that one. Larry Durker, of course. This is one that I'd like to get colorized. That one right there. Let's see. I guess I'll have to. This is the one that I want to get colorized. Okay. Either I'm good at it or it's pretty easy. I mean, most of the pictures from Topps or from that era are taken, if they're in the National League, they're at Shea Stadium. If they're in the American League, they're taken at Yankee Stadium because their offices are in New York, and it's easier to see everybody when they come through there. But for some reason, some of them, the Astros ones were taken in San Francisco. Maybe they have an office. Maybe they had at one point, maybe still have an office there or something. I don't know. But yeah, I can. A lot of times I can ID a ballpark just by looking at a feature. This is one that I would like to get colorized. I mean, Larry Dierker in that Orange Crush uniform, still with the traditional baseball uniform makeup. You know, the wool fabric, the buttons on the jersey, belt on the pants, and the star on the stirrup sock, nice, clean, and visible there. Socks aren't pulled up too high to where the star is kind of hidden under the pants. You know, you can see it there. And see a little bit of the star right there. Jersey's unbuttoned right there. And his face knit isn't necessarily the best, but I mean, that's okay. Maybe get this guy edited out right there. But yeah, that'd be real good to have colorized. I know a guy in California who's done it before, or William Banks said that he could reach out to a person who does it for him. What did he say specifically? If you want to colorize a photo, it's easy to do that online. Search colorize black and white photos. I'll also check with my designer to see how much she charges. Yeah. And if she charges less than $75, I might try her out. So that'd be cool. But yeah. Be pretty easy. I could just send over some of these other pictures. Send that one over. Get a view of what the uniform in the background should look like. Tom Griffin. I may should ask him about Grady Hatton too. That'd be a good photo to use right there. I wish I could find the George Brace collection, because he was from Chicago and he went to Cubs games and White Sox games, and he could take pictures of everybody because every team went through Chicago, whether it be the Cubs or the White Sox, and he had some really nice color photos. I wish I could find more from the 71 Astros. I mean, there's one taken of Joe Morgan that we'll get to that's from his collection. I wish I could find more of them from other players. Kevin Force right there. That one might be from the Brace collection right there because it's at Wrigley Field. And that photo of Doug Rader, this one right here, that's at Wrigley Field. Nora Miller. And if a Topps baseball card photo, if it wasn't taken in a big league ballpark, it was probably taken during spring training. That's why on Blue Moon Odom's 1970 card, which I have, you can see a water tower in it. Johnny Edwards. Jimmy Wynn. Not many colors here. Don Wilson. See, that's at Wrigley Field. Either Brace or maybe somebody else. Bob Watson. Those are Wrigley Field, but that's John Iacano or somebody like that. That's at Candlestick Park. I can tell that. Some of these are screenshots of the footage I have too. I'm wearing both a pair of shorts and pants here, so it's kind of hard to get them both comfortable. Roger Metzger. I just have all these photos here just, to give me kind of a reference of what I'm looking for. I could see more from the Hall of Fame because the Hall of Fame's working to find them for me. So they're going to get back to me with some low-resolution pictures. And I can see some from MLB, the Astros, Topps, anywhere else that I've never seen before, and I may want to use them. So I'm kind of flexible with these here. See, this one from Joe Morgan. That's from Wrigley Field. That's Candlestick Park. I can tell because that's Willie Mays in his home uniform right there. That's Candlestick Park 2. That's Riverfront Stadium because that's Lee May of the Reds right there. I can't really tell that one. Well, it says Cincinnati right there. Okay. That's probably Candlestick. That's Wrigley Field. That may be a George Brace photo too. That's the Astrodome. That's the Astrodome. That's a Shea Stadium right there. But it's more likely just an action shot. It's not a Topps photo. And then Cesar Cedeno. This says it's 1970. It's actually 1971. I can tell because the uniform. And then I also have this last photo that's Orange Crush. I have the footage here. Pictures of, like other stuff, like a team photo right there. Kind of a team card of sorts. Jerseys, the uniform, the cap, and this bracket I've probably showed you that I made. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of preparation I've done, and hopefully sooner rather than later. Because I'm thinking next Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to start making some more calls to people, getting things ready in anticipation of a publisher coming along. Hopefully it'll be Skyhorses Sports Publishing, and they'll give me a good advance, and they'll churn it out. And late June, when the Astros are playing the Cubs, I can be down there. If that happens, and I talked to Joe Thompson, president of the Larry Durger Sabre chapter in Houston, say, hey, I'm going to be there. It'll be during this time. Can we move the meeting to the 5th Monday of June rather than the 3rd? Or can we meet again? I feel like if he can, he might go for that. Assuming there haven't been other things already scheduled, But Anita Segal has already said that they wouldn't be able to have throwback uniforms, and they wouldn't want to because they're coming out with the City Connect. So, looks like that's probably off the table. Although, don't forget to pray. Don't be ashamed to pray. Don't be too proud to pray, because prayer changes things. So, I certainly want to keep that up because you never know. Because this year is the 60th birthday of the Astrodome. But it's also the 25th birthday of the Astros' current ballpark. And so she said they have a lot of promotions for their current ballpark that they have planned. So, we'll see. I hope that I get something done. Either get this done in a good, preferably timely manner, and it all works out very well, or that I just find out there's too much I have to do and move on. Maybe submit this to Climbing Taos Hill, or give it to Sabre chapter. I don't know. I've thought about that too, 2026 being the 55th anniversary, but of what? Just the 55th anniversary of 1971. That's not going to be enough of a story for the Astros to want to promote it. If 1971 actually was a pennant-winning year or a World Series championship year, like if it was the 55th anniversary of their first pennant-winning team or first World Series winning team, That I get. But what are they going to celebrate? 1971, the first full season of Cesar Cedeno. First time in MLB history, a team used orange as a primary color. That's just not going to be enough for them to want to make stuff happen. Yeah, because I've thought about that, and I can't see them going for that either. '55th start celebrated too. Yeah, I guess that's some of it too. Yeah, 50th and 60th. So hope I wasn't too long-winded in my explanation. This was all that stuff I told you I'd recorded, but then the recording didn't have any audio. So that's pretty much that. Still working on it, still making edits, still talking to people, still trying to get in touch with any former players I can, and people who can help me with the book publishing and with the photos, MLB, the Astros, insurance if I need that. If I can get a cheap or free legal advisor to help me create the LLC, maybe I do that. Maybe I do. I don't know. I'm hoping that I can just be a private individual and get those insurances, and maybe we can bundle them and $150 a month or so. But I don't know. I mean, a lot of things I need answers to, but things I'm not going to be able to get right now, and things that I may not even need right now. May not even need later on. But there's a lot to think about. And there has been for quite a few months now. I'm not worried. I'm not anxious. I'm somewhat eager to get things going. To really start with the nitty-gritty of getting the book accepted and illustrated, edited, and published. Definitely. In the same way I did it with Umpire Diary. I've got a call tomorrow with booklaunchers.com, and I'm going to see if they can help me with marketing the book, this one, to help me make more money off of it. I need to watch that video again that they sent. And so, there's something to be said for, I had the call with End of Season Publishing, and I got more credit. I signed on with them. We created a cover. We got the thing edited. We got on Amazon. We got the website, the PayHip website set up, and we got it published. And we've gotten it printed, and people have it in their hands, and they're reading it, and they're loving it. There's something big to be said about that. This project, this Astros book project, is bigger because it involves a market. What's my second book? So there's things I know now that I didn't know before, and there's a market that's further away, but one that I believe absolutely exists. It's something that I'm going with a traditional publisher for, so that would up my credibility in a literary sense even more. And there's a lot of things I'm having to get done with this one that I didn't have to do for Umpire Diary. And then if I get this done, it's going to be an even bigger accomplishment. There's going to be a lot to be said for getting this one done too. And if, me and Me and Daniel Allen, we one of our phone calls, we came up with 10 goals, 5 to 10. 5 really urgent, and 10 it'd be nice to do for 2025. And I don't have the order with me, but they're written here. Read 50 books. Publish another book. Again, I don't remember the order. These no particular order here. Make $50,000. Build a mastermind or get a friend or someone real close. Come find out. Read the entire Bible. I know that's number one. I know read the entire Bible is number one. 760 credit score. Journal every day. Study vocabulary. I don't really feel the need to journal every day. I got the blog. But I mean, I still definitely study vocabulary, and I'm doing that with this game app every day that builds mental function. Data Nusco loves you. Yeah, that can be that. He kind of included that with mastermind or friend or girlfriend, something like that. Set the credit score, general vocabulary, add 20 pounds, save $20,000. And then I wanted my last goal to be to meet somebody with a big name. So he said my last goal could be to meet him, to meet Daniel Allen. So, okay, 10 solid goals. So, this project, I say all that to say, this project would fulfill the publish another book goal. It would probably add on to and make it easier for me to fulfill the make $50,000 and save $20,000. And that in turn might make it easier to make the 760 credit score. I don't know if reading my own book counts as one of the 50 books, but if I get it published, technically then I've read my own book because I read it during the editing, and it's now a book. Build a mastermind or friend, that could be helped with this book. Well, probably not. But it could help out with some of those. And let's see, looking at the list that I sent to Miss Segal of former Astros I'd like to speak with. Doug Rader, Cesar Cedeno, Kim Force, Tom Griffin, Jack Bellingham, John Mayberry, Cesar Geronimo, George Culver, Sonny Jackson, and Dave Justy. That's 10. I'm on those. Griffin, Culver, and Justy have reached out. I've talked with Culver and Geronimo, or not Geronimo, Culver and Griffin. I don't know if I'm going to talk to Justy. His wife said he's got some good days, some bad days. He's got some dementia. He's in a wheelchair, but he still does have a sense of humor on good days. She gave me the phone number. So I'll see. think Sonny Jackson would be good to talk to. Ask him about, how he could have developed into the shortstop he could have. John Mayberry, that'd be cool. Definitely Cedeno and Rader would be the two that I'd like to talk to a lot. If I had to choose one person on this list, so I can choose one person on this list to talk to, I would definitely pick Doug Rader, because he was there in the development of the ball club up to 1971 and in 1971. So if he'd be happy to talk to me, then I definitely would like that. So, of course, I told you about what happened with Johnny Edwards. We had our time worked out, and I called him, but then he confused the time that I told him in Central Time, or the time I told him, I said 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Well, he must have heard 4 Central. So he misunderstood the time, waited at the wrong time, and then so he didn't want to talk to me anymore. I hate it. It sucks. I really like to speak to him. But I'm not gonna try again. I mean, if Norm Miller asks if I got to talk to him, because he's the one who gave me Johnny Edwards' phone number, I'll tell him about it. And if Mr. Miller wants to try to talk to him for me or something like that, I wouldn't ask him to. But I guess I could see what happens. So, it's a lot to think about, a lot to do as far as this project goes. And Dan, I know you've been championing me forward throughout all this, and I really appreciate it. I hope that you will see it this year. I hope that, I reveal the cover. I don't know if I'll do it on a live stream. I might. I think I may have already said that I wasn't going to do it on live stream, but I might. You could, you could. You could see it this year. I hope it's after that, and you once again, you pre-order your copy, being the first one, just as you were with Umpire Diary, and then I mail it off to you. Some prayers make us stay alive, certainly. I send it off and I sign it for you, and you get to read about it. There'll probably be things in there that I haven't talked about on here before. Just little things that make a difference. There's stuff I learned from Tom Griffin that I didn't know about. Every time I talk to a former player, it seems like I learn something different, which is nice. So I got to incorporate some of what Tom Griffin said into my manuscript. I want to include that. All these resources build up as long as you're above ground. I will say, you don't have to be first. All you gotta do is just get one. You don't even have to be the first one. If you want to, that's absolutely fine. But you don't have to be first. Just don't be a no-show. I hope that go to Houston, sell a bunch of copies at an Astros game, maybe a Sugar Land game too. If they have the same thing, they can get a table. Of course, that's I would hope then if I get a table at a game that I wouldn't have to buy my own ticket. That would kind of suck. I hope that I'm there at that meeting and I'll be there and no NSF payments. And then a lot of people buy it then. I hope that Tal Smith would be able to understand a lot of my assessments into what could have been the team chapter. I got the gist from our first phone call that he's not really the kind to think about hypotheticals and what could have been and speculate. I just don't think that's really him. And some of it could be, he was in the team's front office and he don't want him or his colleagues to be blamed for anything. I don't know. But if he doesn't necessarily agree, I hope he would, be able to read or listen to everything as far as how the roster could have come together and understand it. That's my thing. I've wondered if I should have another phone call with Tal Smith and let him read that chapter and then us have a phone call about it. I'm thinking, well, I don't know how much I'd be able to gain from him at this point, but I'd rather do it over a phone call than him do it at the Sabre meeting. So I remember him saying the thing about the double dipping, and the solution I have is the trades could have been worked out differently by a general manager who's not Spec Richardson. I think that would be just way too big of an open-ended question for Mr. Smith. And, he also told me if you're going to do this with the Astros, then you have to do it for all the other teams too. I disagree with that because all the other teams, they're not run by the same front office. They're not owned by the same people, and they don't have the same approaches and the same needs. The Astros got a lot of speed pitching, and they ended up getting some good contact hitters. The Giants, they were a team of pitching and power hitters, and speed too. Cardinals, speed, pitching, and defense. Orioles, pitching and power. You had the Oriole way, the Dodger way, the Angel way, the Cardinal way, all these ways, which made each team unique. So, the Cubs were a team. They could, there were a lot of defense and hitting, kind of all around hitting. Pitching wasn't necessarily the best. Speed wasn't necessarily the best, but pitching and hitting. Each team had their own way. And so to say you have to approach this with every team and think hypothetically for them too. Not only that, this project's not about other teams. It's about the Astros. If I was examining the entire league, then I'd be doing the same. But the project's just not about that. The vision for the project is not doing the same with every team. He said that he felt like some of the stuff I have, or the stuff I had at the time at least, wouldn't hold up to a lot of Sabre people, that they would quickly come to the same conclusion that he does. Some of me thinks I don't think that many people would be as objective as he would. I think they would find it intriguing and interesting and, want to read more about it. I think they'd be intrigued again. Especially, when we had that first phone call last March. I just had the roster that I sent them, and that was it. I didn't have the explanation of everything. With this chapter that he said he's already said he'd be happy to review. He said that last July. It explains everything. I can use that slideshow, and I can present that and cover everything there too. Right? I think it all works together. If someone finds any holes to poke in it, I think in large part it'd be because that's just what they do. I certainly don't want to call Tal Smith a hater or anything. I don't think he's that at all. But I do think there's a lot of legitimacy to what I've written. William Bike has said the same thing. He says he really, really liked what I wrote. In fact, here, I'll read this off for you if you'd like to hear it. what William Bike said about it. Here. This is from William Bike. I really, really like what you wrote. Good writing style and speculation bolstered by facts, statistics, and math. Great job. I can't wait to read the book. If for some reason you don't get a publisher, check with Saber. Looks like the type of book they would publish. He also said he made a few changes in red. Who else? I also got Mike Vance to look at it. He said, I just finished reading your chapter. Very fun and entertaining stuff. The one thing that jumped out at me as not true was Bob Smith keeping Richards as GM. Even when Smith was an owner, it was always Hoffines who pushed the decision button. Smith was the money man, and Hoffines was the face of the franchise. It was Hoffines' assertiveness that rubbed Smith the wrong way and his selfishness that caused the final rift. So I don't see Smith being the decision maker about the GM. He may have had a word. The good news is you don't need that part of the speculation, in my opinion. That was something that by the time, the copy that I sent him of that chapter, I had since, in my large manuscript, made a couple edits, including to that little part where he read that. So I think I'd already edited that point by the time that he read it. So I remember that. And then Baseball Almanac, Sean Holtz with Baseball Almanac, he also gave it a look. All right. First, before I tell you what Baseball Almanac said, first I asked if he would what he said when I asked him if he'd be willing to look at it. He said, I'd be happy to take a look at the chapter and will do so with interest and an open mind. Why the latter? Being honest, speculation has never really been my thing. I don't even listen to sports radio, hearing people say this guy would do this or this guy would do that or here's the next whatever and so on and so on, for me personally, is ridiculous. I know it's the entire basis of fantasy sports for sports betting, and it's beyond huge, but I've just found it kind of silly saying Gunner's the next Johnny Bench. Dude's career could end tomorrow, and it's happened hundreds of times over the years to thousands of players. And I told him I respected that. And I sent it to him. And after he read it, this is what he said. Since this is not my cup of coffee, as I've mentioned before, I'd be a good critic in a sense, in my opinion anyways. Anyway, it was super easy to read. It flowed extremely well. I wasn't bored in the slightest. In fact, I was fascinated at times and did wonder occasionally about what ifs. I enjoyed most the historical specifics, details where you shared things that happened, how they happened, etc. I enjoyed least spots where you included your personal opinions rather than letting me, the reader, make my own decisions. When Larry Durker says this guy was going to be one of the best, it's interesting. But when you say Harry Walker was not fit to be the Astros manager, it felt personal. Not saying he was or wasn't, and I'm absolutely sure hundreds of readers would totally agree, but he had just taken an 8th place, 6th place Pirates team to back-to-back winning seasons and 2 third-place finishes, just an example. You'll get that book published for sure. It's clearly an incredible piece of research. And then I edited that part where I said Harry Walker was unfit. I worded it differently. So, I don't think that my work here is all, bad. I don't think it's, I think it's far from it, actually. I don't think and then Mr. Smith is entirely correct that there'd be a lot of people who would find things wrong with it. Because a lot of it is, what if this had happened? Oh, what about this and this and this? Well, it's what if those things had happened? And so I'll show you this too. In my slideshow, I've added this slide of important points to remember. Number one, there's no 100% way to know what would have happened in any of these situations, for sure. We cannot know what 100% surely would have happened. We can only speculate. Just keep that in mind, yeah. Number two, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Because some people could say, oh, well, don't you think this player could have been signed or that player could have played this position? Sure. All this is based off of the, quote, easy answer and mostly the most likely answer from my research. And then number three, admittedly, it does take a little bit of idealism, imagination, and maybe even bias toward the Astros to do this project. It's about what could have been with the Astros. Of course, there's going to be a teeny bit of Astros bias. If there was no Astros bias, there would be no project. There would be no book. There would be no presentation. So, of course, there's going to be a little bit of bias. The bias is what sparks the project in the first place. I believe everything I have is backed up by facts. Everything, either facts or simple logical reasoning. But the whole reason some of this may seem a little too good to be true is, one, because it didn't actually happen in real life, and two, because, of course, this is the way we want it to happen. So I don't know if you're still there or not, but I think I have some good work, some really good work. It just depends on a publisher taking it and its technicalities with Major League Baseball. If I can get those done, then I think it'll be good. If not, I'll try to do something with this. Submit it to the Saber newsletter. Submit it to Climbing Taos Hill website. I don't know. I'm hoping to get in touch with Mike Acosta soon. He's going to be the speaker at the Saber chapter meeting this month. Hoping that he can help because I think he could help with some photos, some information, ask him some questions, and with getting in touch with former players. Because he's gotten in touch with Cesar Cedeno and Doug Rader before. Cesar Cedeno came to the Astros Hall of Fame induction. He got that picture of Doug Rader I showed you, a year or so ago of him in that Astros jersey sitting on his back porch. He got that, for the alumni Instagram page, which I can't find anymore. But obviously he's able to get in touch with him, so maybe he could help me out in that way. While we're doing your timers, but everything. So yeah, I wanted you to know that, and I hope that this it all works out the way it should. Again, I'm gonna keep going until God boxes me in, or until He, prevails me. If it's all supposed to work out, then it'll work out and it'll be great. If it's not, then I'll hit a wall and I won't be able to get past it. And so that'll be that. And of course, I'll keep everybody updated. I'll try to find something else to do with this and move on to the next thing. So anyways, I know that's a lot, but I don't know if there's anything else we want to talk about. So there's Joe Morgan's card. One of those pictures I showed you was kind of a straight-on photo of him, but with the same background. Candlestick Park. Sarasotania, you can tell that's Candlestick Park. Of course, this one's in the Astrodome. You can kind of tell that. Got the home uniform, and there's the seats. They're the color of the dome seats. You have video. I put a short on my channel that showed it. Just titled "Who Would Win." So that's what I put out there. Oh man. I guess in a way, if the book didn't work out, it would give me a little bit of relief. It's like, oh, all this is over. Of course, I guess it'd give me some relief once the book is, if the book does come out, and after the publishing and the travel and the event and everything, I'd still sell books and everything like that afterward, but the bulk of the work could be over with. There you go. Thanks, Dan. Can I get going? All right, I got you. I'm probably going to end the stream because Red Ron put one comment here, but that was it. I don't think he's been back here since. That's fine. I had to get my hair cut. I went to the barbershop yesterday, but they were closed. Or today, but they were closed, so I may try to go tomorrow or next week. All right, I appreciate you listening. I'm gonna get going too. Sec, I will. Appreciate you.